there's a lot of other principles that are very important parts of receiving divine love as well as natural love. And so, you know, everything could be combined very easily. But the two spirits who I really need to get to talk to in the spirit world are still resistive to that discussion. So I'm hopeful that in time that will change. And when that does change, you'll notice the change on Earth in the movement, because there's a heavy influence from them.
What's the first level that you said you got through?
I got through to some. There was a group of 2,000 fifth sphere spirits who were willing to talk to me about the Oneness Movement on Earth and what they were doing. They're aware. People who've had the golden bowl sensation enter them. They know that it's a spirit, not the person, but the spirits obviously know that it's one of them that's doing it. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of spirits now in the spirit world who are there at cool at every meeting of the Oneness Movement, waiting to go in, be allowed by the person's desire to go into the person. Yeah.
So the balls of light that show up in the photos,
Yep.
are they actually spirits?
They're spirits, yeah.
They're everywhere though,
Yep.
not just around India. I've seen so many examples.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying.
Not just of runners, these here.
Oh yeah,
I've got
yeah.
a girlfriend who took some photos recently, well,
Exactly.
the last 12 months in Byron there.
Yeah.
It's graphic to see them like that.
Yeah.
Even in Peter's alpha dynamic courses, they're there at the end
Of course.
when we have all this
They're
joy
there
and
at
stuff,
every
yeah.
single meeting of every single type of thing that you can think of. Every single religious meeting, every single, these spirits are there waiting.
They're really
for
showing up
assistance.
a lot lately though, aren't they? Because it seems a relatively new phenomenon that they're appearing in photographs.
Yeah, because all of them are aware of the huge changes that are starting to happen on the Earth now, and many of them are wanting to assist, of course. And they're all aware too of, you know, the return of 14 from the 22nd sphere as well. All the ones in the celestial realms are aware of that, and many of the ones in the other realms are aware of that. Even ones in the hells are aware of that. And I've had some bad experiences with them because of it as well. But so there's a whole range of spirits who are totally aware now, and so there's a lot of spirit activity at the moment on Earth as a result of that.
AJ, they're having seminars in America around these orbs. They're calling them orb seminars, and they're taking all kinds of pictures. And is that also because of the digital capacity? It's a fast camera, so they can pick them up more, that they've always been there?
Yeah, the orbs have always been there, but there is a much more intense feeling in the spirit world of interest of what's going on the Earth at the moment, for a lot of different reasons. And many, you know, they're all aware of major changes occurring around 2012, for example. They're all aware of the return of Jesus and others, the return of 14. They've been aware for nearly 40 years about that. So there's a lot of awareness now in the spirit world that that is causing a higher degree of interest, and there is also a higher degree of interest of people on Earth as well as a result, and so that's generating a lot more interest in the spirit world as well. So it's a rapidly growing phenomenon.
It's all over the internet. There's pictures everywhere.
Yeah.
But could these be lower level entities?
Any spirit that's above the first sphere will present themselves as a light to you. And even groups of spirits in the first sphere can. When I say groups, like you can have like 50,000 spirits in the first sphere. They can create a body and actually inhabit that body for a short period of time and cause damage. So it just depends on whether they're cooperating with each other, and most people in the first sphere don't feel like cooperating with anybody else. So yeah, there's all sorts of spirit influences going on.
A friend took a picture of me, and there were these spheres all over me. I would like to think that's a good thing, but it could, from what you're saying, they could just be entities.
When you say entities, they are all people. Every single orb is a person. Right? Is a person who lived on Earth, and they're in different spiritual conditions. The key is where you've been led to. So if you're all being led down to the pub every night to get yourself drunk,
I'm following an orb.
You're following a spirit, but the spirit doesn't have a good intention. Right? If you're getting led to spiritual discussion about truth and love and growth, then obviously the spirits with you have good intentions and are leading you down that path. Right? So, you know, just allow yourself to trust what's going on in your life rather than becoming fearful of it.
Because it's all the law of attraction.
It's all the law of attraction at work.
Could you clarify when we give the blessing, does a spirit actually enter the person we're giving the blessing to, or does just their love pour through you?
It depends on the person themselves and how mediumistic they are and what their desire is. If their desire is open for the spirit to enter them, then the spirit will enter them.
And how long would that spirit stay there?
As long as the spirit can maintain the energy without harming the person.
Ah.
So, you know, it might last an hour, might last a day. You know, I've seen some cases where certain people that are used to spirit possession have lasted 2, 3, 4 weeks or whatever.
And when the spirit's in that person, they feel a heightened state?
Yes, and not always a good heightened state. It depends what spirits entered them.
Okay.
So many people who've experienced, say, manic depression, for example, often have some very low-level spirits enter them at that state, and they maintain their manic phase for 3, 4 weeks or whatever, until they lose that energetic connection, and then the person just collapses in exhaustion. And that's a spirit possession of lower level spirits. The higher the spirit, the more danger there is of damaging your physical form. So, because the energy they're actually transmitting is much more powerful than the energy you're capable of receiving if you're not in the same vibration of love. So they have to be very careful as to how long they do it without harming you. This is why many mediums get exhausted. If you've been to mediums and they say, oh, I'm too tired now, I can't do it anymore. The reason why is because their level of development emotionally is not great enough to handle the constant communication with the spirits they're communicating with.
Can actually the one is blessing the energy, and can it do any damage to the brain, or the nervous system?
All of the spirits involved in the oneness blessing are all interested in love. So none of them would be interested in damaging the physical body. Right? It's only the ones that masquerade that are interested in damaging the physical body. So this is where I'm talking about ones who maybe, you know, are taking sexual energy, for example. Then they will certainly damage the body in that process. So the key is for you to be sensitive, and obviously as givers you all have the intention of doing it out of love, so that it doesn't affect you so much. But if you're receiving it from somebody that you don't know, if you feel an uncomfortable feeling, right, so rather than feelings of love or care for you, if you're feeling, you know, feeling sexually violated, for example, which is a common one, then, you know, just discontinue it straight away and tell the person that they're actually violating you sexually and that you're not impressed. and then work out, you know, let yourself work emotionally through the reason why you attracted that. Because you attracted it because of an emotion inside of yourself. So, yeah, so it just depends. You be sensitive to the energy of people. If people are in a state of love and truth, that's a good sign generally, that they're in a better condition than if they're in a state of wanting to harm you in any way. And so, yeah.
Sorry, AJ, with this kind of change in awareness we have now, would automatically divine spirits come through us?
Yes, as soon as you long for divine love, you are automatically usually assigned a divine love guide, a guide that's on a divine love path, if you haven't got one already. The majority of you have one already. The reason why is because a lot of you wouldn't even be here if you didn't have one. Right? And there are some who were invited that aren't here, and many of them have got natural love spirits still very much connected with them. Right? Now, the issue then becomes, well, what is a divine love spirit going to do? Well, what they're going to do, they still want to give love and they still want to give healing to people. But they want to do it based on the person's true heartfelt desire, not based on what they say they want. Whereas a natural love spirit will do it based on what they say they think they want. Whereas a divine love spirit always feels the soul before they act. You follow me? So a divine love spirit can certainly help you use your energy, connect with you, and help you heal and help other people. But they won't do it without addressing the soul issues. So if you can bear that in mind, that's what will happen. And there's no harm in you connecting with a natural love spirit and them doing it if that's what the person desires. And the question you've got to ask yourself, is that what you desire? So that's up to you, what you desire.
Do you have to have
before you get the guide, or can you get the divine love guide even if you haven't had an experience of divine love?
It's not so much the having of the experience of divine love that you get assigned the guide. The guide is assigned based on your desire for complete truth and desire for divine truth. So many of you would have a guide, even if you haven't received divine love, that is on the divine love path, because you've had a desire for God's truth in your heart.
And the assignment is done according to the law of attraction.
God actually does the assignment. God actually assigns personally these guides. And the way he does that is by actually motivating the heart of the particular person to connect with you. So the spirit in the spirit world, in the celestial spheres, is motivated to find you and connect with you, because that spirit, God feels that spirit is the best person to help you. And the reason why he'd feel that that spirit's the best person to help you is because your personalities and your experiences on earth are very, very similar. Sometimes you'll be assigned a lot more than one guide, because you might have 4 or 5 different experiences that are very unique to you, and there might be 4 or 5 different spirits in the spirit world who need to connect with you to help you emotionally through those experiences.
So this is another example of how much God cares for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. His constant care for you.
Can the guides be at like 2 places at once, kind of thing?
Your guides certainly can, and particularly the higher the guide, the more possibility that is going to be. So if you've got a celestial spirit guide, for example, a celestial spirit is capable of transmitting energy and emotions, and in particular emotions and thoughts, to you, and remaining where they are at the same time. So they are totally capable of that connection. And the higher the connection, there are ones in the one-ment state, so where they are combined soul, those ones that are combined soul are capable of doing that to thousands of people at the same time. So, yeah.
Like having a big brother.
Yeah, and that's how millions of people receive the energy from me at the same time.
When you're giving the blessing, how many spirits are sending their love, and what levels, or is it only just one that comes down?
It depends on how many spirits are connected at the time. What actually happens for many of them is like a group of, say, a 6-sphere spirit is capable of the transmission of far more natural love than a 4-sphere spirit. There are literally tens of thousands of 4-sphere spirits involved in the Oneness Movement. So when a 4-sphere spirit transmits that love through you, obviously there might be 4 or 5 or 10 of them together doing it to give that same intensity, if that's what they were trying to cooperate with. So it just depends on the situation and the circumstance. It will be different every single time. And it depends on the longing of the individual too. Some people will have a longing for divine love in their heart that you put your hands on and want to give the oneness blessing to. And those ones, natural love spirits probably won't even connect to, and they'll know, and divine love spirits will connect to them and help them open up to receive some of that love. Yeah. So it just depends totally on what the actual desire of the individual you're giving the blessing to really is. And you don't know that desire necessarily, but the spirits can see that desire much more easily.
But that's the soul's desire, not. So if you had an intellectual discussion with them, it's still not getting there.
No, you will find in time that having an intellectual discussion with anybody is almost fruitless. Yeah. There are some good things that can be accomplished if it opens their heart. You can accomplish good things, but if a person doesn't want to open their heart, it's very hard to get anywhere with them emotionally. Yeah, and you know that already from your own experience in your own life, right? How many of you have been in a relationship where the guy just doesn't want to open up, or the girl just doesn't want to open up to you emotionally, and it's just like, whatever you do, it just doesn't work, does it? It's like, and that's what it's like with us as individuals too. So we need to just bear in mind that it's the desire of the individual that drives it. So be sensitive to people who are emotional, because they have a stronger desire. Also, they will have a strong desire to receive love from spirits or from God, right? And from you.
And so if the blessing giver is coming from a natural love point of view, and the recipient is divine love, will a divine love being come through the giver, even if they're just into natural?
It's unlikely, because the natural love, the person on the natural love path is the blessing giver, is not capable of transmitting the emotional intensity that a divine love spirit would be able to transmit. And in fact that the person themselves would be able to receive. It'd be better reversing the role of the blessing giver sitting down and the person who's received divine love actually give them the blessing.
Is it possible to give a oneness blessing? I'm asking this question because I feel a little hesitant about giving the blessing anymore. I want to understand more about why I feel that way. I feel some concerns about spirits coming through me.
Right.
Can you?
So you're afraid of spirits coming through you?
I'm concerned about whether I'm doing the best thing for the person I'm giving the blessing to.
Right. Well, that is a concern. The key thing is respecting the free will of the individual. Now, if a spirit is going to overcloak the individual, so in other words, possess the individual, then and that happens without the person knowing that it's actually going on, but they're thinking that. And the issue is not so much that that happens, but that they think that's God.
Yes.
That's the issue.
So how do we prevent that, or?
Well, you don't need to prevent it. All you need to say, well, you know, what just entered you was a spirit who's on the natural love path, who wants to give you their love and wants to show you what their love feels like.
So it sounds like to me like before we give the blessing to people, we need to explain and give them a handout about what the blessing actually is and what can happen, so that they're informed.
My suggestion is do the blessing, just do it.
Just do it.
While people, and then notice the response of the person, and trust the feeling you have inside of yourself. If you feel that they're blocking that love from flowing, then say that to the person. If you feel that a spirit just entered them, that was a natural love spirit, just sit down with them and say, oh, you're feeling really good now, aren't you? And the reason why is this. This is what happened.
Okay.
Just trust your intuition that you can explain these things to the people that meet. Right? Just explain it to them then. Don't do it all at the start, because at the start what will often happen is it will just scare them silly. Right? And in the end, what's that do? It just creates more fear on the earth, and what's more fear on the earth going to do? Create more damage and more damage to them, and so that's pointless. They're there to receive something, so they're open. They've come in an open condition. Keep them in the open condition, but then explain to them what's going on if you feel something has gone on. Even if something untoward's gone on, just, if some blessing giver has come along and you've noticed the lady or man respond like, ooh, then you can say, oh, what's happened there? He's taken something from her, what's gone on there? And go up there and say something about it. Yeah. So just say the truth.
When we taught to give an intent or speak an intention before the blessing process begins. So having heard this today, what I was thinking was to set the intent that they receive the divine love. And I mean, the rest is up to them, but I felt that if I were to give a blessing and set that intention, perhaps that would help.
I can't set the intent for you to receive divine love. One thing I can do though is set the intent or pray to God, along to God, that you get to a state of openness with that, and that I can help you with that. Yeah.
So isn't that something we could do as
Certainly.
givers to help the truth?
Certainly, yeah. Do that all the time. That would be my suggestion. Yeah. And understand too that some of the experiences, particularly if they're metaphysical experiences, and do you understand what I mean by that? They're experiences like out-of-body experiences, or where people feel transformed overnight, or all of those kind of metaphysical experiences. All of those experiences are the result of natural love. Understand that. The experiences that are a result of divine love are always going to be emotional, soul to soul. Understand that. You'll know when there's a difference. When you give the blessing to somebody, you'll see the difference. You'll see the reactions in people. Take notice of those that can feel that love, and talk to them about the divine love and how they can do that for themselves, and take notice of that with them. Yeah. Well, hopefully that's been beneficial for everyone.
It's been fantastic.
And I know some of you came with a fair bit of reticence. I could feel that this morning, and so I hope that it's been a bit different than what you expected. And thank you for all taking responsibility for many of your emotions, like you've been doing. So that's really good.
Is there anything after 1 or 2 that they're more
No, not really. Well, yes, obviously there's a lot more. You know, this was if I'm not feeling the feeling, then owning the fact that I don't want to and asking myself why. Once I start asking myself why, I'll start connecting with things emotionally, and that's a whole different list of, you know, feeling. But in the end, you will not, once you release blocks, you will not need to know how to experience the emotion, because you become just like a child who just feels it as it comes. So you won't need to be told how to do it. The desire in our mind to be told how to do it all the time is in fact an intellectual blockage that we have to experience our emotions. Right?
Also analysing everything.
Yeah, our desire to analyse.
Stop analysing, just feel it.
Just feel, yeah, yeah. Now initially that's difficult because we're so used to analysing everything. So it's very, very difficult. But if you can allow yourself to not do that, it would be really good to not analyse. To not analyse and just rather to feel. You know? So the key is use your mind as a tool to connect you to your feelings rather than using your mind as a tool to avoid your emotion. That's always the answer. Go.
Thank you very much.
No worries, my pleasure. Thank you for all of your attention.